It's not every day you clock in and save a coworker's life, but that's what happened to Matt Weirs while working at a West Fargo window company. And in today's First News Feel Good, meet the man being hailed as a hero. When Matt Weirs clocked into work, it seemed like a normal Wednesday. Amidst the drilling, buzzing, and general grind, Weirs noticed his coworker Brian Watts was missing.
He wasn't around. I asked another employee over there if he'd seen Brian. He's like, oh, no, I didn't really see him most of the afternoon. It's like, well, that's strange because his car is running outside.
He grabbed a coat and decided to check.
Then I walked around to the driver's door and I saw that he was laying over on the center console. As soon as I opened up the door, just got a big waft of exhaust smell.
Watts was having a smoke break, window cracked open, car running.
I just was like, I'm dizzy. I shook my head and I woke up in the hospital hours later.
Carbon monoxide. Watts was just minutes from death.
Yeah. You know, I got 3 kids at home that depend on me.
It turns out his car's exhaust system was failing, and it also was missing a catalytic converter.
Like, the whole thing has to be replaced from the motor all the way back.
His colleagues called on KFGO's Christmas gift program, helping him find this safe replacement car.
That's just another example of taking care of each other.
If there's any lesson to be learned there, I believe it's, anytime you purchase any vehicle, check it out.
It just may save a life. In West Fargo, Sarah Rudlang, WDAY News. Thank goodness Brian is okay, but I'm not done with this story. I'm going to talk with the mechanic who checked out Brian's car and the dealership where he bought it. And I'll tell you what I find out tomorrow morning on First News. Well, now a follow-up to an exclusive story we brought you here on First News yesterday. I shared with you how a Moorhead man saved his coworker's life. Brian Watts was having a smoke break in his car, window cracked open, engine running. Now, thank goodness his coworker Matt Weirs noticed he was missing, and he found him just in time with severe carbon monoxide poisoning. But the story doesn't end there. I wanted to know how and why this happened and what people need to know to make sure this doesn't happen to you or any of your loved ones.
All I remember was feeling dizzy, and then that was it.
Brian Watts nearly died from severe carbon monoxide poisoning.
It's scary.
He just bought this 2002 Jetta Volkswagen weeks earlier. I went to his auto mechanic to figure out what happened.
Upon inspection, the turbocharger was left loose. There's a chunk of exhaust missing, catalytic converters missing. Where the pipe actually goes over the rear axle, that was all fudged together with a flex pipe.
A death trap disguised with fake pipe underneath.
Actually, this is the first vehicle I've seen that has been this bad.
So I went to where Watts bought the car, FamWise LLC in Fargo. Helen Tapla owns and operates this business.
We buy the cars from the auction as is and we sell them as is.
And her rules are clear.
If he had anything that went wrong with him, he need to talk to his insurance, not this business.
Her partner, J.R. Kess, says they make sure the used cars run, then sell them as is for a low cost.
Not everybody can afford $10,000 car. So she's the medium person here trying to help her own people to come to raise up, be able to get to work.
So I took a look at the fine print of Brian's contract, and listed under possible defects of a used vehicle are catalytic converter and exhaust issues. So the question is, where is the line in these as-is situations? So tomorrow I'm going to speak with a lawyer and the National Auto Dealers Association to get those answers for you. In Fargo, Sarah Rudlang, WDAY News. Well, for the last 2 days, one of my First News feel-good stories turned into an investigation. On Wednesday, I shared the incredible story of a Moorhead man, Matt Weirs, who saved his coworker's life. Brian Watts had severe carbon monoxide poisoning from a car he had just bought. On Thursday, I told you how the dealership told me Brian bought the car as is. Now today, I wanted to find out, where is the line for these as-is vehicles and who's at fault here? And what message really needs to be shared so no one else gets hurt? When Brian Watts bought this 2002 Jetta Volkswagen, he knew it had wear and tear, but he didn't know it was a carbon monoxide death trap.
I didn't really have time to react, to think out my situation, to turn the car off and open the door.
The dealership, FamWise LLC, told me they didn't know about the carbon monoxide issues and pointed to the paperwork Brian signed. So I brought that paperwork to Vogel attorney Jordan Weir.
I think a lot of people have a habit of just signing and then just making some assumptions. Including
a false sense of security about safety.
Unless he had evidence and were able to prove that the dealership knew the catalytic converter was not there and the exhaust system would fail, or it had significant defects with it and failed to disclose that to Brian, he would not be able to prove a case because the contract would be binding.
North Dakota's lemon laws protect people who buy brand new, but I couldn't find a single law protecting against deadly defects of buying used cars.
We don't have any laws like that in North Dakota.
I double-checked with the Automobile Dealers Association of North Dakota.
Both manufacturers and federal and state law require our new car dealers to adhere to many consumer protection requirements. And these requirements do not exist within the casual sale market.
How often do we buy used cars and never get them checked out? Hopefully Brian Watts' story makes you think twice. In Fargo, Sarah Rudlang, WDAY News. Now, one of the many issues with Brian's car was that missing catalytic converter. And you may remember last month when Fargo police put out a warning about thefts of cat converters. So I checked back in with the Fargo Police Department and also dug up last year's numbers to compare. And then I made this graph. So let's start with 2020. Last January, there was one catalytic converter theft in Fargo. That's right here. And then in February, there were 3. But get this, Sergeant Bernier told me in January of 2021, there were 42 catalytic converter thefts and 23 in February. Of course, we're still going through March right now, but that's a jump of over 4,000% in January alone. So that got me curious. So I compared it to national numbers and did the math. From 2019 to 2020, there was a 325% increase in catalytic converter thefts nationwide. Another big jump. Now, I asked Joel Krieg over at Premier Auto about this, and he says you'll notice if yours was stolen. Your car gets super loud for one, plus it'll hurt your engine over time, and the exhaust can be really bad for the environment.
A lot of good work went into that series, Sarah. I did have a question for you, though, this morning.
Yeah.
Why? Why steal all those catalytic converters?
Yeah, you know, it actually comes down to the precious metals that are in the converters. So a lot of people steal them in order to try to resell them. And I actually looked into this because there's legislation going on right now in Minnesota and North Dakota to try to cut down on these thefts, basically make catalytic converters harder to sell. But altogether, I just hope this series encourages more folks to get their cars inspected, not only before you buy, but also to check up on your current car.
Good reminder. Thank you very much, Sarah.